My ears. Wait, you mean to tell me I just saved up 200 rockets and it just ate all of them and took like 2 damage? Of course it did. Why wouldn't it? Alright, I'm back again with another scuffed review. Before I set the scene and give my disclaimers and all that other crap, if you want to go straight to the review itself, just go to the next YouTube chapter. So I was looking for an alternative game to play instead of Path of Exile, since I'm not really enjoying this current league. You can watch my last video here if you're interested, but as I was making my list of alternative games to play, I happened to check my email, and I saw this offer for Nova Drift, and I was reading it like, this is some really coincidental timing. I mean, it even mentions Path of Exile down here. But I mean, I'm not going to say no, of course I'll at least try it. Just to have full transparency here, I was not paid or influenced in any way to make this review. I'd say about 15% or so of the games I receive actually end up with some sort of video on, but I can promise you that when I recommend a game, it's because it's an absolute banger that I'd buy with my own money. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the actual review now. So what is Nova Drift? If I had to describe it to someone, I would say that it's like if you took the old Asteroids arcade game and then smushed it together with some modern inspiration from genres like roguelikes and arpgs. The premise of the game is simple. You play as a spaceship and your goal is to survive as long as possible in a hostile environment filled with dangerous enemies, bosses, and all that fun stuff. You start out with a basic ship that shoots these weak-ass lasers, but as you progress, you can upgrade your ship with new weapons, abilities, drones, mines, passives, etc. Each and every skill tree has multiple paths, allowing you to customize their playstyle and experiment with different combinations of upgrades. Since the game is a roguelike, each playthrough is procedurally generated, meaning that each time you start the game, you have an option to create and experiment with a new build, and the enemies you face will be completely random. While there aren't any meta progression systems seen in roguelites, each run you will earn XP that's used to unlock more weapons, ship types, upgrades, gameplay difficulty modifiers, and eventually you start to unlock these super mods, which are, well, basically as the name would suggest, super modifiers that are essentially a combination of 2 other max tier upgrades to create some really unique and powerful builds. Not only did these unlocks incentivize me to keep playing run after run, but it also meant that I constantly had new builds that I wanted to experiment with. While there is an eventual cap on unlocks and the new content you experience, the game still is in early access. I'll throw the roadmap on screen for a bit here, but notably for me, I'm interested in the complete OST, and I'm really looking forward to the campaign mode and final boss, since bosses are probably my favorite part about, well, any game really. Alright, now let's talk about the one thing that I really don't like about Nova Drift. Basically, I hate how the game feels like it's solely balanced around your limited movement. On one hand, I do think it's fairly reasonable to have the player require skillful dodging and mastery of the spaceship's thrust. But on the other hand, the controls feel really outdated, and having to constantly thrust and turn without any upgrades is a complete pain in the ass. And I say without any upgrades because honestly, with the right ship type and a little bit of thrust upgrades, it's a night and day difference in how it feels. I mean, to try and give some sort of comparison here, it's like not having extra movement speed in Path of Exile or not being able to sprint in the game. It's workable without, but it is so much nicer to have. But I mean, as far as big negatives go, that's really about it. I mean, honestly, the game feels really solid for it still being an early access title. Overall though, I'll say that Nova Drift was a surprising title to me, and I had loads of fun playing it thus far. I've already put about 7.5 hours into the game, and I'm still looking forward to playing it some more. Honestly, I'm not sure how I've never heard of Nova Drift before, given its similarities to the genres that I already play quite frequently. While I don't think that it's a perfect 10 game or anything, it's still a very solid experience, and I'm definitely looking forward to additional content in the future. I'm not really big on the whole give a game a number thing, but if I had to, I would say Nova Drift is a solid like 8 out of 10 in my opinion. Again, not perfect, but very solid. Thanks for watching the video. My next video will be a little bit of a departure from the norm, even though those types of videos don't really perform quite well, but I still make these for fun, so I wanted to experiment just a little bit. Yeah, I think that's it. Bye.